Karo Shedadaleji. My name is Jennifer.
Mangwanani Etisen. Mine is Kunle Ayo.
We welcome you to
Africa Awakes,
Africa Magic's official breakfast show.
We really do thank you for your emails. Don't stop writing to us. More about your thoughts and your comment. Email address is africaawakes@gmail.com.
First up is Up Close and Personal. Our guest today is Suren Naika.
On Fashion Corner, we take you to the MTN Durban Fashion Week.
On Africa Sport, Andy gives us a sports gist.
Now, we'll leave you with the thought of the day.
I hope the thought of the day helps you through the day.
On Up Close and Personal, we catch up with a South African actor, Suren Naika. He's featured in a number of movies, which includes Broken Promises, a movie that tells us more about South African culture.
Suren takes us through his experiences as an actor, model, wrestler, and interestingly, he holds a black belt in karate.
All right.
Certainly not a guy to mess with, eh?
Here is Suren.
Welcome to Up Close and Personal. We are at the Japanese Gallery in Randburg. Suren Naika is my guest today, and he's a master of many trades. He's an actor, model, voiceover artist, a teacher, and also a black belt holder in karate. Let's welcome Suren. Hi Suren, it's nice to meet you.
You too, thanks for being here, Jennifer.
You're welcome. You're quite versatile. Please tell me about yourself.
Well, where can I start? Regarding the industry, I've always had a passion for acting, for drama, basically for glory. Being in front of an audience, the pomp, the glamour, having people shout out your name. I mean, whatever I do, I have to have people in front of me and I have to be entertaining them in some way or the other. So all my hobbies actually center around that. First of all, I started off doing karate because my dad was a karate instructor. He began a karate school in Durban and I just took off from there. I love karate because I love performing and competing with an audience watching you, and you just feel the need to impress them. And that just drives you, you know, makes you want to do better. I got into wrestling after that. I love wrestling as well because it's an entertainment sport, not just a martial art like karate, and it's for the glamour. It's to put on a show. I mean, it's a lot like acting as well because you assume a character. My wrestling name is Mr. Bollywood Beat, and I appear with the glasses, the leather jacket, and you know, you get into a different kind of persona. And as an upshot to that, I was inspired by the movie Zoolander. I got into modeling, I joined a modeling agency, I've done a few shoots. The most entertaining one was with Jasmine Jagger at the Riviera Hotel as part of the promotions for the hotel. It was a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Very busy, very hard work, but I loved it. It's very different from acting because whereas you're speaking and performing, here you have to maintain that same look over and over again. Can be very tedious, very tiring, but you know, I enjoy it, I loved it. And from there, it just got, you know, I got better roles and eventually got into the movie industry. Started off doing little adverts, small things like that. And then it just grew from there. And my latest interest is actually filmmaking. I think I've been in front of the camera enough now. So I've just completed a 12-week filmmaking course, which I found very fascinating. I had no idea there was so much that goes into making a film, actually. And having made my own little 5-minute film, which we're sending to the SABC for Car Free Day, very proud of it, and I think it's going to grow from there. So I want to get behind the camera now as well, as a director, as a producer, as a DOP, etc.
So growing up, what were your career, what did you want to be? Did you always want to be an actor, or you always wanted to be like a doctor, a lawyer, or something more professional?
That's a very interesting question. First of all, what you're saying is very stereotypical because you are assuming that being an actor is something not professional, which I understand from your background and mine as well. Whenever I mentioned getting into the dramatic arts to my parents, they would flip, they would scream, they would shout, how can you do that? Acting is not a real career, it's not a real job. And my parents were very anti that. I mean, they didn't even want me to do a BA degree, which is what I did. And I had to fight against orthodoxy, against convention, because my parents were insistent, adamant that I do at least a BSc, something in the sciences or something in commerce. They wanted me to be an accountant or a lawyer or something such that I can say, now I am a lawyer. They didn't want me to do, what I did at varsity was a bachelor's in philosophy and psychology. I did my honors and masters in applied linguistics, and then a teacher's diploma, all of which are very academic stuff, nothing, as you say, professional. But I've always had a wide range of interests in that regard. But growing up was very interesting because I initially, when I was about 7 or 8, wanted to be an astronaut. I was fascinated by the stars and the moon and going up there. And I used to spend hours gawking at the stars and reading about the universe and things like that. So I've always wanted to be an astronaut. Then I changed to being a bodyguard. I wanted to be a bodyguard. It seemed like a fascinating job. Then I wanted to be a singer. Then from there it changed to acting. Then I wanted to be a wrestler. So I just am confused, actually. I still at the moment don't really know what I want to do, even though I am a school teacher by profession and the acting is more of a hobby. I'm hoping that the scales will turn and I can leave teaching and pursue it full time, but it's just not financially viable at this stage. But I got into varsity not knowing what I want to do when I leave varsity. And that's why I majored in philosophy, psychology, and linguistics in my bachelor's degree. I'm thinking, what do you do with a philosophy major? What do you do with a master's degree in linguistics? There isn't actually a career path you can follow. And I didn't want to constrain myself, box myself, because if I did, say, an LLB or a BSc or something that boxed me, my options are narrowed, because after that, I have to apply to a law firm or to some institution and work for them. And then now I have a much more universal understanding of life and of things, and therefore can pursue whatever I want more holistically with my full being. And at the moment I'm scattered. I'm wrestling for the AWF. I teach karate at my karate club. I'm doing the acting and I'm teaching, and I'm doing my PhD in English literature. So I'm torn 5 ways, and I actually don't know which way to follow. If I pursue the PhD, then I'm going to have to get into academia, and then again I'm cut off from the wrestling and the karate and the acting. If I pursue the wrestling, we're touring. In 2 weeks' time we're going to Durban for a big show, and that also takes me away from the acting. If I pursue the acting, and I have a problem in that regard. So long-term career-wise, I actually don't know, but it's leaning towards filmmaking, because with the filmmaking side, you can actually incorporate all that into it. So, long answer to your short question. That's what I wanted to be, yeah.
Okay. We know you've been into movies. What movies have you acted in, and how many are they?
Well, that really depends what you mean by movie, because I could say 4 or I could say 2. Like recently, my last project was a short 5-minute movie. It's a very funny South African production. South African characters. There's a hosepipe who's a Cape-colored guy, talks like a Cape-colored guy. There's a chameleon who talks like a Durbanite Indian. So there's this new South Africa feel to it, and it's in a garden, and it's very funny. I did 2 of the voices for that film. I did the Cape-colored accent and I did the Durbanite Indian accent. And it really is very funny. I can't wait for it to be released. That's coming in August. Before that, I've done Broken Promises 2, which is a Garuda Motion Pictures production for Kumar and Naidu, where I was a gay movie star. You called me Suresh by mistake. Very funny. My character's name is Suresh in that movie. So I'm an action movie star in the movie, and off camera, I'm actually a screaming queen gay Indian, which is basically challenging the stereotype that homosexuality doesn't exist amongst Indians. For some reason, non-Western cultures, I've noticed, African and Indian culture, looks down upon homosexuality, and homosexuals are ostracized as a result. So, the director, and by the way, I'm not gay, I just have to point that out. The director actually wanted to just have fun with that issue and shock a few people, I suppose. So I played a gay movie star in that production, and before that I was a bodyguard to Mr. K, the mafia boss, or to Mr. K's henchman, the mafia boss. And that was my role. That was my first movie role. So yeah, those are the 4 productions I've been involved in.
A lot of youths see acting as a glamorous thing, all the hype that goes with it, the nice places you get to go to, the places where you're seen and all. What's your opinion?
Yeah, a lot of work and a lot of thought, a lot of agony, a lot of time goes into making a movie that the youth wouldn't think. So if they want to get into acting, acting is one very, very, very small facet of the movie industry. There's so much that they can do. And sadly enough, children are discouraged from getting into this. No, you must be a doctor, you must be a lawyer, you must do something professional. That's really not true. It's not true that someone who does a dramatic art degree will be out of work, because the industry is growing in this country. It's so vast, and there's opportunity. Everybody, all my friends who have done drama degrees are all employed. They're doing something in the industry. There's so much to do. There's camera work, there's lighting, there's script writing, there's directing, producing. There's tons of things to do, not just acting. Acting is, like I said, a very small part of it. So acting is not the be-all and the end-all of the movie industry, and children should recognize that. So they should know that what goes into a movie is not really the actors, and if they themselves want to get into the industry, they should know that there's a lot more to it than just smiling in front of a camera.
I hope aspiring actors and actresses are listening to this. So who's your favorite African actor or actress, and why?
That's a tough question because I don't really watch many local movies, but the best person I acted with, I can tell you, is Maheshni Naika from Broken Promises 2. She played the part of Saras, and she's just an amazing actress. She's very shy off screen, but very animated on screen. And you know, because I've worked with her and I've seen what she does, I've also seen her on stage, and she's just an amazing talent. So I suppose I would go with that, yeah.
So what acting role would you turn down?
I'm actually still getting a footing in the industry. I'm not quite on Robert De Niro's level, so I'm not in a position to turn down acting roles. I actually wouldn't turn anything down. If anything, I would take anything that comes, you know, because exposure is very important, networking is very important. It's not like in the States where there's hundreds and hundreds of movies being made, or in India where there's hundreds of movies, or in Nigeria. You know, it's scarce to come by. So any opportunity you get to network, to meet other directors, other actors, we should grab it. I think it's very foolhardy to actually turn down any role, and I would never do that at this stage.
Do you think that there's enough exchange in Africa, within the continent, of directors, actors? I mean, like maybe a South African director going to Liberia to work with Liberians. Do you think there's enough exchange within the continent?
I think there's a lot of exchange internationally, but the exchange is not intra-African. So there's not enough of South African directors going to Nigeria, going to Libya, going to Mozambique, going to all these places. But there are a lot of international production companies coming here. I mean, even commercially for adverts and things, JWT was here last year doing something big for Vodafone, I'm not sure what. I know Andy Wilson's company is here shooting an international feature film about something about Iraqi refugees. I know that, like I said, Peter Jackson was here not too long back doing something. So a lot of big production companies are coming here and using South African talent, and kind of irritates me because even though, yes, it's big companies and we need the exposure, they are coming here because it's cheaper. You don't have to pay South African actors as much because dollars converted to rands is suddenly a lot more. We need the exposure in this country, so very few actors will actually turn down